Hi everyone. This video is going to be about Gluetun. Just as a reminder, today we are the uh, 13th of July 2021, and Gluetun version is 3.19.1. Um, yeah, just for consistency. All right. So right now I'm on a Windows host, and I will show you first of all what Gluetun is because why not? So Gluetun is first of all the name. The main name comes from gluing things together and tune, which is uh, VPN tunnel. It uses the tune kernel module to do all this with Docker. So that's why the name Gluetun. Now Gluetun is a VPN client meant to be run with Docker as a container. Um, it is designed to support to easily use a bunch of VPN providers like Sabegos, Vastas VPN, HideMask, IPVanish, IPVPN, Mulvad, NordVPN, etc., etc. And it has a bunch of other things in there as well. So here's a little image. That's a little Docker whale going in one tunnel and going out in the other tunnel because it's tunneling. The image is about 50 megabytes uncompressed on AMD64, so it's tiny. It has more than 10 million pulls, so let's say it's more or less safe today. Um, I mean, safe to use at least. Um, I do release every 2 weeks ish, so if you want, you can use image tags to pin the version if you don't want any instabilities. It has been known to be unstable in the past. Now it is more stable as time goes by. This is the main README. You can access it on github.com/qdm12/glutun. And initially, you have a bunch of quick links to start a discussion, create an issue, check the wiki, join the Slack channel. If you're happy about it, you can sponsor me on GitHub. You can donate to me on PayPal or just drop me an email. I'll be happy to have a thank you note by email. Here's a list of features. So it's based on Alpine, which is a 5 megabyte tiny operating system for meant mostly for Docker images. It is based on Alpine 3.13. I think recently we moved to 3.14. But anyway, it supports a bunch of VPN providers. It supports OpenVPN as the tunneling mechanism. I'm working on WireGuard, but it's still not there. There's DNS over TLS baked in with service providers of your choice. Um, and then you can fine grain things. There's a built-in firewall as well here that acts as a kill switch. There's a built-in ShadowSox proxy so that you can connect other computers or your phone to the container and use the VPN connection. There's also a HTTP proxy so that you can connect just, for example, your browser to Gluetun and not the entire machine because ShadowSox for now mostly tunnels the entire network through through it. You can connect other containers to it. There's a wiki page on that. You can connect LAN devices to it. There's also the wiki page for that. It's compatible with pretty much everything, every machine. So you can run it on your Raspberry Pi or whatever weird machine you have. You can also do port forwarding, VPN server-side port forwarding for PIA and Viper VPN. It works as well with Mulvad. I didn't process it, but yeah, it's relatively easy to set up. Um, And yeah, you have subprograms, you have OpenVPN, you have Unbound, and that's it. Unbound is about to disappear. I wrote my own implementation to do DNS over TLS and HTTPS in Go. So that's Unbound is going to disappear, but there's still the OpenVPN, which is here to stay, which is a subprogram, and you can see the logs are merged together in the same thing. So that's pretty nice. And it can work as a on Kubernetes, although it's not 100% stable. Yeah, depending on your setup. So anyway, setup. Talking about setup. Pretty simple, straightforward. If this is your first time, feel free to listen. Otherwise, feel free to skip ahead. Um, on some machines, you may need to do this command or this command. This is to install the tune kernel module that is used by OpenVPN to, well, tunnel. Um, on some most Linux machines, you don't need to. But for example, on Synology NAS, you need to do that every time you boot. That's why for Synology users there are extra steps. For example, you want to set up things whenever you reboot the machine. And for 32-bit operating system, there are also extra steps like and if any Raspberry Pi running Raspbian, have a look at this. Otherwise, the more recent Gluetun versions will not work. So you need to check this. But for all the other folks here using AMD 64 and all kind of not 32-bit operating systems, you can pretty much copy paste that or use the Docker Compose here and check the environment variables, set the VPN SP. VPN SP means VPN service provider. By default, it's private internet access, which was the first one to be supported. In my case, it will be Mulvad because that's the one I'm using now, and it can be any of you choosing. And you need to set usually the OpenVPN user and OpenVPN password. You can set the region. You don't need to. By default, it will just pick a random one from the pool of servers. So let's do that. I'm gonna do that with. I'm on right now. I'm on Windows. I have Docker installed. I usually do everything in Linux, but for the purpose of this presentation, I will do it on Windows um, because I don't want, yeah, to keep it, let's say, more boxed. So right now I'm in my directory C users quantity blah blah Gluetun. I made a little directory. There's nothing in there, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna docker run EIT for interactive the dash rm because I want to remove it. Adjust this to your needs. Usually you should run it with D as a daemon, and that's it. But for now we want it to be interactive, so we'll do that. One thing, critical part that I always forget is cap add that admin. You need to give network admin to the container, otherwise it will not. The firewall will not work. OpenVPN will not work. Nothing will work, pretty much. So you need to give this. Um, don't ideally don't give it full privilege access. Just give it that capability. That's all it needs. And what else? Okay, I need to set the OpenVPN user. In Milvad, there's only a user. There's no password, so yeah, uh, no need to set a password. And I'm gonna set VPNSP is equal to Milvad, and I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna specify two cities. I don't need to, just so it's clear. This is a purely optional. It's one of the filters. I'm gonna say Paris and Madrid and Prague. All right. And now, what else? Did I miss anything? I don't. Oh yeah, and if I missed, well, obviously you can check from the instructions. You should bind on that. You don't need to, but for the purpose of this little exercise, we'll do it. So I'm gonna use pwd. That's my current directory, and bind mounted to Gluetun. This directory is used to store server information. You don't need to bind mount it; it will work fine, but it's better if you do. So that you can update server information yourself. If I pass out a die or disappear, you can still update server information with time. I still use Gluetun. Yeah, so that's great. No need for downloading, updating your program. You can just update that, and that should work. So anyway, back to it, and finally the image name, which is qmcgaw. Macro is my last name, and Gluetun. All right, you can pin it as well if you want. You can do that. We'll just use latest for now. Let's try this. God. All right. What? Oh, this is not. What? Really? Oh, maybe like this. God damn it. 1 second. Okay, maybe I need to precise. He doesn't like it like this. Maybe let's try it like this. Yeah, that works. All right. Not making any sense. All right. Well, that was a lot of logs coming up. Um, First, you know what? Because otherwise I'm gonna forget. Let's try. Let's see. Okay, the directory I was in was this one. I added a Gluetun here, so that's the directory mine mounted. And this is what we have here. Um, so let me edit it with Notepad plus plus. And as you can see, this is just a big JSON file with servers. There's a lot of servers. It's 2.5 megabytes. So all the server information is here for all the service providers. And The way Gluetun works is it works by IP address. So for every server, there's at least one IP address. Why do we do that and why don't we use host names? It's because that way you will not leak the DNS resolution. For example, if you want to connect to, I don't know, madrid.vpn.com, you don't want to DNS resolve that and let your government or service provider know that, oh, I'm going to connect to madrid.vpn.com, right? Because first of all, DNS by default is not encrypted. It's slowly gaining adoption to be encrypted, but yeah, let's assume it's not. So I don't want my users to like leak where they're connecting to. So that's why we use IP addresses only. There are a lot of IP addresses. All these IP addresses you see here are baked in the code in the program. Um, so that's what it uses. And now there's also, if you go in the wiki, all right, let's go there. Okay, let's go to home. Okay, in the wiki, on the right side, there's a bunch of things you can see. And where was it? Yeah, to update, the point of that file is also you can update server's information. In case one IP address gets updated, you can read that, and it's relatively straightforward-ish, such that you can update all the server information if you need to. I don't recommend to do it all the time. Just do it like if you need to. You can also set the environment variable update underscore period so that it updates it every 24 hours, but I wouldn't recommend it because it does a lot of networking and uh, downloads a lot of things. DNS resolves a lot of things. You could, but yeah, I don't do it personally. Anyway, so back to the logs. We run that command. We run that with that. This is wrong. This should be latest. Anyway, oh no, it's because I built it locally. All right, that's version I built locally. Sorry about that. So yeah, you got this. You should get the version, the date, and the commit. I will run next version. I will pull it again, and you will see it. You have a link. You have an email address. If you want to sponsor me as well, links for that. Finally, you have versions. A small note here: you have OpenVPN 2.4 and 2.5 because sometimes 2.5 is more recent and some VPN servers don't like it. So you can switch back to OpenVPN 2.4. How do you do that? Go check the environment variables wiki page, and it's called OpenVPN version. Here, by default, is 2.5. You can set it to 2.4. But by default, it's 2.5, so now we're going to use 2.5. Okay, and then it shows you like a list of settings in a tree fashion uh, view. Um, the time zone is wrong. So here it shows it 11 p.m. That's UTC. Here it's only 7 p.m. in Montreal. You can set it with TZ. I think it's probably documented. I think, yeah, TZ. But you don't need to. It's fine if you don't. Finally, a bunch of routing, IP routing, firewall things, and okay, that's get me firewall disabled. No, it's fine. It enabled successfully. All right, all good. Um, and then it launches OpenVPN. So we're starting OpenVPN 2.5. You can see the logs. Uh, remember, I specified three things. I specified Paris, Madrid, and Prague. It from this pool of servers, it picked the Prague 003 server here. You can see the host name is here. Um, and blah blah, it connected. The green thing means the VPN is up. So we have a routing IP address, which is this. Then DNS over TLS download some files from GitHub. Once the VPN is up, it's careful to wait for the VPN to be up. It's going to download some cryptographic files, and it's going to download some block lists as well, depending on your choosing. And the blue thing is unbound starting up, and it's ready here. Ready means we managed to do a resolution of github.com. We try to DNS resolve github.com, and that works. So that means the DNS is up, and we have internet. So at this point, all our DNS traffic is encrypted. It's going also through the VPN tunnel, and the VPN tunnel is up. The firewall is up as well. So there's the firewall acts as a kill switch. You cannot go around the VPN tunnel. That's the only connection that is allowed. So now at this point, connection is up and it's secured. Everything is secured, so we are good to do whatever we want. So that's why now I fetched GitHub to see if there's a new release, and it shows you that little line, and we get you public IP address information, VPN server IP address. So that's Czech Republic in blah blah blah, blah whatever that is, Prague. Um, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna launch another terminal. I'm gonna zoom and I'm gonna Docker run. I'm gonna run an interactive Alpine container, and I'm gonna run it with dash dash network and container. Oh god, I don't know the name. One second. Let me launch another terminal as well. All right, what's the name? Wait, I think in Windows it's find string, maybe Gluetun. Yes, it is find string. Okay, so that's the name of our container. Let's exit that and put it there. Paste. Hop. All right, done. Let's try that. All right, that worked. And now let's get our IP address as well. And there we go, Prague. So that means that container, that Alpine container connected to Gluetun is going for the VPN tunnel that Gluetun set up. That's pretty cool. That's like a Docker feature. So you can, let's say, put all the network traffic through another container. Uh, this is pretty useful if you want to run like a crawler or a torrent client container or whatever kind of container you want, because uh, obviously you don't really want to run like your program inside Gluetun like with a shell and stuff. Like it's better to have another container and connect to it to Gluetun. Now there's a whole wiki page I would recommend you to go check out, which is called Connect to Gluetun. It's really useful. Um, so there's a section about container in the same Docker Compose. You can connect them with this thing. You can also, that's what we use, external container to Gluetun. That's the command we used, Alpine container. Same thing for if the container is in another Docker Compose.yml than the Gluetun one, you can use that. Um, and okay, I'm gonna skip this to the HTTP proxy and Shadowsocks proxy. We won't go into them too much because it gets quite long. But they're baked in. They are both written in Go. They're both baked in the entry point program in Gluetun. And why are they here? They're not clients. They're servers. They're servers such that you can connect your computers, your phone, uh, to Gluetun. You can tunnel all your traffic to Gluetun. Um, the HTTP proxy, usually it's to be used only with like your Chrome or Firefox, only your browser or maybe your TV or something. Note, I don't use it personally, and also note that the communication between, let's say, your phone and Gluetun is not encrypted. Well, when it reaches Gluetun, everything is encrypted, of course, right? It goes through the tunnel and the HTTPS and all that, but everything from your device to Gluetun is not encrypted. So if you are in not your home network and it's not, you don't trust your network, or you are trying to access Gluetun from outside your network, don't use that. Please don't use that. Instead, use Shadowsocks. I took quite some time to actually. There's even I made a repo actually. That's another container. It's not very well known, but uh, yeah, 310 pulls. That's ridiculous. But basically, that's another container running a Shadowsocks server. It's a qmcgaw slash ss dash server, and it basically runs a Shadowsocks server, and Shadowsocks is great because it's encrypted, unlike the HTTP proxy. Uh, and they have clients for all the platforms as well. You can have, I use one for Windows, I use one for Linux, I use one for Android, and you have it on iOS and all that. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and it works quite well. It's fast as well. So yeah, so these two are here for non-containers, for computers, phones, stuff like that. You want to connect to Gluetun. Now, okay, one last piece that is quite interesting is let's say you connect a torrent client to Gluetun, and this torrent client container has a web user interface you want to access, and you're trying to port map on that container you're launching, but it doesn't work. Like Docker is like, no, you cannot do that. So how do you do that? It took me some time to figure it out a few years ago, but uh, basically, okay, so your torrent container is using Glutun's network stack. So that means the only host here is Gluten. This one is inside it, basically. It's a process living inside uh, that Gluten host, right? So that means the only way to access a port for that torrent client is to publish the port on Gluten, all right? So here you have an example. You can follow it like with port 8000 on XYZ and port 9000 on ABC. And you can see here, ABC is here, XYZ is here. They're both connected to Gluten with this. And you need to publish the ports on Gluetun, and then it will work, no problem. So yeah, just so you're aware of that. Now let's go back to our little terminal. That is done. I don't think I need to show anything else. Let's exit. Yeah, I think that's a good overview of what's going on. And here you can see also the subsidies. Now I'm gonna Control C to stop it. All right, so not successful. I like it. Now what else in the wiki? Wait, what is this? Servers readme? Ooh, okay. Yeah, that okay. All right, that is pretty useful actually. Yeah, this is the readme about the servers directory. So that tells you as well that sometimes server information may get outdated, and that's why you should like update your servers. Um, Apart from that, there's also an HTTP control server where you can I don't use it that much, but you can yeah, get the status of OpenVPN, you can restart it, you can get the forwarded port. So that's pretty useful if you want to automate your setup. Um, and it's still a work in progress. I need it works all right, but yeah, I'm planning on doing a lot of work on that. And you can use Docker secrets as well here um, with all these if you want to. It's not necessary. You can also use an OpenVPN custom file. There's a wiki page for that. There's a whole setup. It describes everything you need to do. It's not that straightforward, but once it works, it works. So that's pretty cool. Um, and again, here you will use the bind mount with the Gluetun directory. And I don't know, maybe I forgot to wait. What's advanced setup? Okay, yeah, no, not really useful. But yeah, most of the configuration is done in the environment variables wiki page. Uh, yeah, you can set a lot of things here. Uh, if it's your first time, just go over the little raise flag emojis things, and that's the only necessary things you need to set, like VPN SP, like the user, the password. That's it. All the rest is optional, like region CD, server host name, the port, etc. You don't need to set it. If you want, you can set it, and it will adjust itself. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. It wasn't too precise either, but let me know in the comments if you want to have a video about something precise with Gluetun. I'm happy to do another video sometime soon. Bye.